What is up, you guys? It's Tori, and welcome back to another episode of the Dorm Debrief podcast. Alright, y'all, so I'm back after a few weeks. I had to take some time to, finish out the semester because any college student knows spring semester is no joke. For me, it was no joke, and I had to make an academic comeback. Like, literally, let me tell y'all, this is how I know God works. But one of the classes that I swore my life I was gonna fail, I ended up getting an A in at the end of the semester. That has to be God. Like, that's literally by God's grace. But anyways, with that, I am back, and I'm going to be more active on this page during the summer because I'm on summer break. And so I'm really excited to be posting more content and talking about a lot more topics to prepare myself for the upcoming school year. Now, for today's topic, we're going to be talking about modesty, and I'm kind of excited to talk about this because it's a journey that I've recently embarked on. When it comes to modesty specifically, I'm going to be talking about clothing. Now, modesty isn't just clothing, it's mindset, it's how you present yourself, it's everything. But I'm going to be focusing more on clothing today because I know the girlies, we like to do our shopping, and especially in college as young people, living in the city, doing all these things, we like to look good, and I feel like it's a good thing to bring up as we're trying to live our lives through God, as we're trying to become more mature adult women. Now, I don't know if you guys remember my previous episode where I talked about conviction, and did I mention my conviction with modesty? I don't think I did. Maybe I did, right? But growing up in a black household, whenever there was a man in the house anywhere, your mom would come and tell you, put some clothes on, and you'd be like, why? It's his fault if he's looking, and your mom will give you that look and you'd have to change, right? I feel like that's a universal experience for a lot of mixed and black individuals, but if you didn't know, there you go. So obviously, yes, moms, I'd always pass down to us, hey, how to dress, don't wear that going out, or if you wore something and your mom was you already knew you had to go change, it was a non-negotiable. So I really kind of had that foundation, like a lot of other girls, of how their moms and we kind of have been raised to not wear certain things and not, quote unquote provoke men, or to not put a certain image of ourselves out there when it comes to our clothing. And honestly, it took me a long time to understand why moms say the things that they do. I feel like as you get older, you start to understand why moms say certain things to you, the things that you would often roll your eyes about, the things that you would often about, but as I've gotten older, clothing and modesty within clothing has been one of those things that I've realized. And specifically, for me, this is a new thing. This is something I've started thinking about in college, and that's why I'm mentioning it, because I know a lot of the people on this podcast who are listening to this podcast are in college. Now, Victoria, what does college have to do with any of this? In college, when you go inside party culture and all of these things, and I want to preface this by saying, because I already feel like I don't want anything to bite me back in the butt because somebody misunderstood what I was saying, right? So I want to preface this by saying that I love women. I am in full support of women. I really don't care what somebody else does with their body, how they dress. That personally is not my problem. Whatever somebody else wants to do is what they want to do, and I have no say in that, right? But in party culture, as we know, the whole poster girl dress, I'm not gonna lie, the poster girl dresses are cute. If I wasn't, renewed in God, then I would be wearing them too. I'm not gonna lie to you, because they are cute. I like them. But at the same time, we see a lot of those poster girl dresses, in quote unquote unmodest clothing, stuff with cutout, your boobs all out, your butts all out, all those type of things, right? We're looking at these women, me trying to not be one of them, used to be one of them, right? Who have their butt out, have their ass out, have their stomach out, and there's no necessarily issue with that, as long if they're okay with it, if they know how to handle themselves, that's good for you. For me personally, I was looking at myself dang, I look good, but I look good in a lustful manner. My butt looks good, my stomach looks good, my boobs look good, but if that's the first thing that I'm looking at in the mirror, if these things look good, then what do I think that the first thing that other people are looking at? Now, I never really used to dress super conservative, nor did I ever used to dress super unconservative, I guess. You know, I never had everything out, right? But at the same time, it came to a point in myself, and not only within myself, but in my relationship with God, where I was like, I am no longer comfortable. Something feels wrong about putting these types of clothing on my body, right? And first, like I said, it was a personal decision. It was kind of like I'm looking at myself this way. I'm looking at that. What are other people looking at, right? But then also, when you start your relationship with God and everything like that, people think, oh, when you start believing in God, you become more conservative. You do this, you do that. Like, you don't believe in this anymore. You're no fun anymore. And I'm like, hold on, because that is not the case. It's just a lot of the things I feel like, you know, people live by, like you see these super diehard Christians, it's kind of just shoved in your face, and everybody has a very negative connotation towards it, like being a nun, dressing modestly, like all of these things. Even if you think about Muslim women, like how they wear hijabs on their head, right? People have such a negative connotation about that, like, oh, why do they feel like they have to hide their hair? First of all, it's not your culture, it's not your religion, right? Second of all, if that is what their God, right, tells them that is righteous for them to do, then that is what they believe, and that's what they are going to go by, right? And so for Christianity, for me, right, I started looking at it as like, well, what does God want me to do? Because if I'm saying I believe in the Almighty God, if I believe in the high power, and in every way He is greater than I am, then how can I best serve Him? And it's not like I'm belittling myself, but I am a child of God. I was created beautifully in the image of God, and I want to convey that to others, not just by how I talk, not just by my soul and my charisma and my spirit, but how I physically look as well. I started thinking less of, I want someone to look at me and say, damn, she looks good. Oh, like, she's fine as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Rather, I want them to say to me, wow, like, she looks like a beautiful person. Or wow, she is stunning. Or wow, she is beautiful, right? Sure, I might got a good figure, like, I mean, not to gas it up, like, I might got a good figure, but that's not the first thing that I want somebody to look at, right? And now one of the first things I did to take steps into, you know, becoming more modest spiritually and physically was looking at my wardrobe and seeing, like, what needs to go. And unfortunately, I had to throw away some things. Well, actually, I didn't throw them away, I gave them away, alright? But I had to give away some things that I really liked. Like, there was this one top that it was like a halter neck, right? It showed the yitties a little bit. It was cute, right? And it had the open back, and back then, you know, I was working out heavy. So my back muscles were on point. Like, don't play with it. My back muscles were on point, right? And so it was very flattering on me, so I had to give that up, which was kind of sad. But you know what? It's not really about me anymore. It's more about what God has planned for me, what God wants for me, right? And it's really hard. It's so hard to convey these type of things and these morals and these type of values to people who are not belonging to the Christian faith or Christianity or a religion at all. Because, you know, like I said, we live in a culture where things like that are like kind of downed upon, and people have bad relationships with it, and people think it's like, you know, being conservative, Republican, and all of these things. Like, no. Like, it has nothing to do with that, right? It's a conscious choice for me as a woman to become more of a woman of God, like God has planned for me to do, right? And the way that I also think about it is, if my future husband, and I talk about this all the time because I'm a lover girl, like, I know my man's out there, but, you know, would I want my future husband seeing me at a bar, or seeing me dressed a certain way at a bar, or, you know, shaking my butt on Snapchat or Instagram? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying that this is downing on those women. I'm going to keep reiterating that, because we have very different lifestyles, and we have very different morals. We have very different, you know, what we want for our lives. So there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do at all. For me, I personally want my man to look at me, my husband to first look at me in a lustful manner, like, oh, that's my wife, and she's shaking her butt. Like, and like I said, it was hard for me to throw out those clothes, but that was the first step for me that it took to start my journey in modesty. And I'm gonna tell y'all a situation how I know that, like, I'm saved, but I'm not super saved. Like, God's still working on me. Why? Because I went to Target last night, and I had told my mom, I was like, okay, I'm going out for a drive. Like, I'm home for summer. Like, I just want to have fun. I don't want to worry about anything. I want to relax. took the car out, and I went down into like the city parts of Arlington, and then there's a Target around that area. And so I went into the Target, and if y'all haven't been to Target yet, go to Target because their clothes right now are absolutely fire. Target is really stepping up the game, so you should go ahead and go. But anyways, so I get in Target and I'm looking at the clothes section, knowing I don't even have money like that, so why am I even in there? I don't even know. But I'm looking at the clothes section and I find the top I was telling y'all about earlier, that was like the halter neck with the open back, right? I find almost like a very, very similar top, but it was in like bright red. And I know bright red looks good on me. There's something about red that just really flatters my face. I think it's like the color scale thing or whatever people call it, right? So I saw that top and I was like, dang, this is so cute. And it was like good quality too for Target. I was like, this is Urban Outfitters quality. This is great, right? And I really, really wanted to buy it. And it was only $22, so it wasn't too steep, right? But number one, I don't even got money like that, so why am I even looking at it? Second of all, I thought to myself, would God want me to wear this? Like, does this represent the woman of God that I'm trying to be? Does this represent the version of myself that God has for me? And the answer was no, because I'm looking at the top and like I said, it got the cut all in it. It got the back out. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with an open back. Like, we cool with open back. But this is a reminder. Pay tuition. Alexa off. That was Alexa reminding me that I have to pay my tuition. I swear, you never escape college, even when you're on break. But like I said, the cleavage and, you know, everything out, I was just like, I can't. Like, as much as I like it, I'm just trying to be better. And I really want to become that version of myself, because I know that if I trust in what God has for me, whatever doors that he has are going to be far better than the ones that I can open myself, right? And I don't know where it says in the Bible. I was recently reading it. Maybe it was Proverbs. I gotta find it, right? But it was a Bible verse basically saying, like, the works of man, like, you can only go so far. Whereas if you trust in the works of God, he can bring you further than any man or yourself could, right? And so that is something that I think about daily when it comes to me and my modesty journey. Every day when I put my clothes on, I'm like, is this a direct reflection of the person that I want to become? Is this a direct reflection of the woman that I want to become in God? And would my husband want me to see, like, would want to see me in this? And yes, like, not only is it about honoring my future husband, that's also a little thing as well, but it's not so much about honoring my future husband, it's more about honoring myself. I don't want other people to look at me in a lustful manner. I don't want some guy on the street to look at my butt and be like, damn, girl, because as y'all know, I live in DC. If you walk on U Street, it don't even matter. Like, as long as your face card don't decline, it don't matter how much clothing you have on, how much or how little, like, they'll still catcall you. And that's just how a lot of the times, like, men can be. You know, you can be fully veiled up, you could have your yitties, your butt covered, and they'll still holler at you. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. But at the same time, it's a conscious decision on my end. What can I do so that I can prevent people from looking at me in a lustful manner as much as possible? Because like I said, they always gonna look. And like I said, it's really hard to talk about this because I don't want to offend anyone. And I know that God is always telling me, he's like, Tori, I need you to speak truth. I need you to speak the word. And that's why I started making this a Christian podcast, because I just couldn't not talk about God. But I have to make sure that I'm talking about God in the right way and not sugarcoating it to people who need to hear it. And so I'm hoping that this episode kind of brought light to something that maybe you have been feeling, or maybe a friend mentioned it to you, and this motivates you to start your modesty journey. But like I said, I'm not super saved. God is still working on me, and he's probably still working on you. So the biggest advice that I can give to you is let him keep working and try to deny your old ways of life. Now, secondly, you know, after looking at my wardrobe, the second thing that I started looking at is, you know, number one, how I'm representing myself while I'm out. And like I said, I'm not going to touch on this too much because I can always touch on it in another episode, right? I don't want to make this episode really, really long because, as y'all know, I can talk for a long time. But it's like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I do go out sometimes, because sometimes I do want to have fun. Sometimes I do want to just show my face and, you know, just remind some people that I am that girl. But at the same time, like, even when I go out, I try my best not to do anything that would break the image of myself that I am trying to convey, right? And it's like, oh, like, why are you trying to, you know, put a false image of yourself up? I'm not trying to put a false image of myself up. I'm trying to put a truthful image of myself up. And if I truly want to become a woman of God, I have to act like a woman of God. It doesn't matter what I wear, what I do on the outside. It matters how I act and where my heart is. And this is crazy because a lot of the sermons I've been listening to recently, and maybe it's because of my prayers, like recently, talking too fast. Recently, I've been asking God to check my heart in a lot of things, and a lot of the sermons that I've been listening to recently have been about where your heart stands with God, where your heart stands in your actions, right? Why you're doing certain things, not because you're doing them, but because why you're doing them, right? And so when I go out and when I'm having fun with my friends, and even specifically when I'm driving, y'all, trying to become a woman of God while driving in DC is one of the hardest things possible because people always do something to piss you off. But anyways, but like I said, even when I go out, I try my best to stay away from drinking too much, from being around like a lot of smoking, from, you know, being in like the ass shaking contest and all of these things, because I don't want to down on that image of myself that I am trying to convey. I don't want to suppress the woman of God that God wants me to be by my worldly desires of wanting to fit in, wanting to have a good time, wanting to look a certain way, wanting to prove to other people that I don't even know that I'm that girl, you know? So definitely it is hard, like specifically in today's culture, as you guys know. But like I said, one of the biggest things is letting go of your old ways, letting go of your old habits, of your old tendencies, and understanding that, like, if you really want something to change in your life, the one that can really make it happen is God. And if you're trusting in Him, putting your full trust, your full honor into Him, then He will make it happen. And I'm trying to put all my trust as much as I can in clothing and modesty and of course other aspects of my life, so that He can change me into a better woman. I don't want to be complacent, and I don't want to be the same woman that I was at 15, 16, 17, 18 when I'm 20, 25, 30, right? And with that, you guys, I'm so happy that you guys were able to tune in today, and I will see y'all in another episode.